I've tried since that experience because it was really valuable. I've also tried to take the habit of asking for feedback. And I think
Yes.
that's kind of lowers also the barrier of giving feedback when I'm actively asking for it, saying,
Yeah.
what could I improve? Where did I succeed? What could I have done differently? And that has also kind of been part of, I think, for the part of the curiosity of learning and introducing the possibility of getting feedback and getting possibility to learn.
Welcome to WITT. Hi, I'm Megan. I talk with founders, investors and operators working in tech. My aim is to inspire you with their stories and perspectives. Through this podcast, I want to amplify the voice of women working in tech. If you want to support WITT, then make sure you follow us on your favourite podcasting app. Then you won't miss any future episodes. Today's guest is Sanja, a lifelong learning expert and sustainable strategist, helping Finland rethink how we grow our skills in a world that never stops changing. Let's go!
Hi Sanja, welcome to WITT. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Hi Megan, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, I would love to kick off our conversation with a lightning round. Is that okay?
Sounds good. Already?
Let's jump straight in. Question number 1, very important question, I would say. Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream. Definitely ice cream.
Okay, nice. Hard question, but I love it. Second question, what's one word that describes your leadership style?
My leadership style, I would say probably collaboration.
I like it. Third question, what is your favorite Finnish word or phrase?
This is really random one, but also quite difficult to pronounce. And therefore I have one previous colleague who loved the Finnish word and wanted to learn to pronounce it. And it's kalkkarokäärme, a rattlesnake, which is not even existing in Finland.
Yeah, but it very is random, but it's a good word.
Yeah.
And then question number 5, who is a person that you haven't met yet but would love to?
That would be Barack Obama.
Okay.
Definitely.
Nice. Question number 5. What's one word to describe 2025 so far?
Learning.
Learning. Nice. Simple. I like it. Question number 6. What's a Finnish tradition that everybody in the world should try?
I think it's the sauna and lake mixture.
It's the classic answer, but it's understandable. Question number 7. If you could give a book to everyone in the world, what book would it be and why?
Everyone in the world. To learn about Helsinki, there is this book called Missä kuljimme kerran by Kjell Westö, a Finnish author. The book is about a little bit about family history, about Finnish history, but it's also for everyone who wants to learn about Helsinki. It's a love story to Helsinki as a city. It's a really lovely book.
Sounds great. And then question number 8. What is top on your list of travel places?
I've always wanted to go to Iceland. I've never had the chance yet, but that is sort of my dream destination.
Definitely. And then question number 9, summer cottages or ski slopes?
Oh, a tough one.
Yeah.
All right, let's go for summer cottages now that it's hot and scorching outside.
Yeah. And then the last question for the lightning round is, if you had to describe your journey in 3 emojis, what would they be and why?
It would be star emoji.
Okay.
And maybe that's what's the one with the muscle emoji.
The muscle
emoji, for a kind of sisu and strength and keeping going.
Of course.
And then a question mark of not really always having a clear plan, but yet going.
Star, muscle, and question mark.
Yeah.
A good mixture, I think. Yeah, I think there's a good mixture. Well, that was really awesome. Thank you for answering my lightning round questions. And let's now move on to your journey, right? So tell me about how you grew up. What would your teachers or your parents say about a young Sanja?
Well, I grew up in a small village or town in northern Finland, South Lapland. So the small village with about, at that time, 5,000 inhabitants in the whole commune. And I think my parents and teachers would say that I was quite social, active, always ended up in places where things happen, not necessarily kind of like doing things that I shouldn't be doing, but kind of being so active and always sort of ending up in places. And hopefully they would say that I would yet being sort of curious and active, but kind to others.
I think everyone would hope that. I think so. But you now are a parent of 2 kids and a dog, of course, the most important one. But what have you deliberately done as a parent that's different from how you were raised? And probably best to focus on the human parenting skills. But obviously, the dogs are important too.
Deliberately, what I try to offer for my kids is new experiences and exposing into new adventures, new places, new people. And that's the way to sort of learn and discover new things in life, maybe new skills in yourself or new people in your life.
Yeah. And would you say that's that kind of that experience of seeing new things, experiencing different cultures and practices, do you think that will help them in the future?
I would say from the perspective of helping them to understand world around and understanding others and understanding that we all have our own perspectives.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with someone's opinions, but you still need to work on trying to understand where the opinions or values may come from. And that's the most important thing. You don't have to always agree, but you have to try to understand the other person.
Yes. I feel like that is such an important lesson to really, you don't have to agree, as you said, you don't have to agree, but you have to try and understand. I love that. I think that's really cool. And I feel like that definitely comes from your characteristic of being a very curious person, right? So where do you think that curiosity comes from? How has it guided your journey to where you are now?
Of course, I would say that it is, to a certain extent, it's a personal trait. It's coming from being social and active and loving being around people, but it's also a mindset and skill that you can deliberately work on and learn and take in as a methodology for your professional life or your work. So from that, I think curiosity is a tool to get into new learnings or understanding people or understanding their perspective or where they come from or how other cultures are or how other businesses are and so on.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it goes into that whole kind of ideology that curiosity is very linked to imagination and really exploring the world and as learning as much as you possibly can, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And getting into the structures that you can do it as a methodology, not only as a sort of a coincidence. And you happen to be curious of something, but you also use it as a methodology of deliberately asking new questions and going into ways of working where you really used curiosity as a superpower in your work.
Definitely. Well, this super interesting point, and I have a next question that's kind of linked to this. And I feel like you've said this before, and you've said that you're empowered by making connections, and this leads into the whole kind of curiosity standpoint.
Yeah.
And I want to understand, like, how does it motivate you? Like, how has that kind of web of connection helped you? And then also, how is it kind of helping the world?
Well, I'm thinking that well, first of all, I'm the curiosity trait and being quite extrovert as a person. I think I'm always interested in other people, so I tend to end up talking to even too much to other people, or end up in places where I kind of get lost in the group and in the wonderful conversations. But on the other hand, I think the best way to help the world to improve, whether that will be some business or whether that will be some solution in society or some societal change, may happen in the communication between two people. And when two right people connect, wonderful things may happen. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be me. It could be me being the interconnector in between of these two people, but the actual magic happens when these two people start to develop something new, some new services, or may even encounter some new business opportunities or learnings from others.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going back to this whole kind of philosophy of it's all about people meeting other people and really making an impact in this world, really. It's all about the people. It always is.
It is.
And
I
talking
agree.
about people, I did, obviously quite a lot of research for this episode. And one of the things that I looked at was feedback and kind of advice. And especially one of your colleagues kind of recommended you as an open, warm individual with excellent teamwork and communication skills. So what feedback have you received throughout your career, and how did it help you? And how can we as the people of this world kind of really take feedback and improve upon ourselves?
I remember this one particular feedback moment in my life.
Yeah.
It was so important moment for me, looking back at it now. This was maybe 8-ish years ago.
Okay.
A colleague of mine just said that I just want to give you feedback on what I appreciate and you could learn.
Yeah.
Taken the moment to really write down some of the feedback that he wanted to give me, what he wanted to thank me for, and what he wanted to suggest to me. And he had taken the time to write that on a note paper, gave the note to me. That was the most wonderful gift to have.
Wow.
That somebody had really thought of the feedback and gave the note to me. And that was really a special moment. So that's something that I really cherish. He also gave me actually recommendation of a book, and he had got me the book that he recommended me to read to sort of grow my skills in certain areas where he thought that I could be growing and where these ideas might take me. But I've been also really lucky throughout my career of having people I work with who've kind of also pushed me to sort of challenge my thinking and challenge my skills, and have offered me possibilities to grow where even I didn't think that I would be kind of growing towards or having the opportunity. So that's also kind of the feedback, to be a little bit of pushed out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And kind of realizing that, oh yeah, I can do this, I can fly.
Yeah, no, I love that. That is just so amazing that he got up the courage to give you that piece of information, because then it makes you, as you said, it makes you fly.
Yeah.
And I feel like feedback and advice gets a bad rep sometimes, with the whole kind of, oh yeah, it's personal, it's about the person, but it's not really. It's you're trying to help someone be better at what they're doing, right? You're giving them the advice that they need to make them better in whatever they're doing. So my question to you is, how do you think we should make this easier? to give feedback and to give advice?
Well, I've tried since that experience because it was really valuable. I've also tried to take the habit of asking for feedback. And I think
Yes.
that's kind of lowers also the barrier of giving feedback when I'm actively asking for it, saying,
Yeah,
what could I improve? Where did I
definitely.
succeed? What could I have done differently? Are there areas of competence or skills that I could grow and particularly focus on? And that has also kind of been part of, I think, for the part of the curiosity of learning and sort of introducing the possibility of getting feedback and getting possibility to learn. And it has also
Definitely.
opened some doors for new career developments through that.
Yeah, I definitely think that is a really great idea. Asking for it, and then hopefully you'd then be able to give back. I think that's really, really great, because it kind of opens up people to the idea of giving feedback is a good thing.
Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Now, you've spent a lot of time in the kind of education and recently the healthcare industry. I want to understand, like, why were you drawn to this area, and what have you achieved that you're really proud of? And then what's the kind of the problem in this sector?
It's difficult to say what originally drawn me to education and healthcare and public services in general. I studied educational administration, so that probably kind of explains the ended up into working with education sector. But in general, I think what draws me in these type of services that are publicly funded is the possibility to transform and to renew the way we produce the services, to be involved in developing, whether that will be education system or whether that will be learning in vocational education or whether that will be transforming how we provide healthcare and particularly care services advanced but sustainable way, and considering sustainability from the perspective of social sustainability, economically, ecologically sustainability perspectives are something which is kind of, I think, it is included in all of the development of public services.
Yeah. I totally agree. I feel like the public sector it's such an interesting kind of space, but it must be quite difficult, because I feel like there would be quite a lot of barriers, I would say, especially with education and healthcare. It's quite an old industries and kind of sectors. What are some of the problems that you've been going through recently?
Well, of course, in both sectors, one of the key characteristic is that these sectors anywhere in the world are quite heavily regulated.
Yes.
Whether that will be what the curriculum will look like or how many teaching hours is included in each degree, so what kind of competence this degree will give you, or how these specific care services are offered, quite strictly regulated. So that makes it a bit challenging to kind of look into transformation, because you can't really just kind of tear it down and start from scratch. And I think that's the same thing with all of the public sector services, that if we would have the possibility to start from scratch, we wouldn't necessarily build up the kind of system or structure that we have now. But now we need to be really conscious on working on transforming what we have without losing the best characteristics of what we have, whether that will be an education, a degree, developing a degree, or developing the learning methodology, or transforming a care service that we are working with, for example.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a difficult task to undertake, I would say.
It is a balance of, I'd say, again, being curious and asking the yes and or giving the yes and comments. So this is a good idea, and how could we build upon it and develop even further, or how could we use AI even further in care services? How could we benefit robotics in care services, or how can we benefit AI in education and learning. You just need to be very sort of persistent on building up on the existing things.
And finding that balance between kind of too much and not enough.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yes. Awesome. Well, this kind of leads me next into your role today, right? So you've taken on a kind of big role managing at the integration of two large companies. Now, like, how is that going? What are the lessons that you've learned so far?
It is going really well, and it's such an interesting task. So to be involved with the merger of two companies, or to be precise, it's acquisition of a smaller company by a larger company. And having in a position of integrating the processes and understanding the whole of the two companies is really rewarding. It requires quite a lot of patience on finding the right rhythm and structure for implementation, and finding the ways of communication which are both appropriate but also necessary.
Yeah. It sounds like a very interesting journey and job, I would say.
Absolutely.
Maybe a bit of chaos mixed in with all of that.
A chaos in a sense that some things really need to happen quite quickly. So it is really just kind of delving into a project and then have it completed as quickly as possible, and diving into subject which you are not necessarily familiar with before. Here we come again to the question of just being curious and diving into sort of the question mark of my career emojis of not being afraid of not really knowing where you're heading, but being really curious and persistent on pursuing something new.
Definitely. Very interesting. Well, now it's story time, and I want to know what happened with you moving to Norway and having to kind of restart your network / life. Like, how did that happen?
Well, this happened quite some time ago. So back in Finland for several years, or 15 years actually already. But I'm moving there as a family with a small child, having none whatsoever kind of a network of calling the grandparents if the child is sick and needs to be picked up from the daycare, not having the network of people of communicating outside of the workplace, and trying to really find your place in a new society, in a new community, speaking a language that you don't speak yourself. So I was working at an organization that was 100% Norwegian speaking, but was really welcoming and offered to change the working language into English for the first 6 months, so that I could take the time to learn the language and be welcomed and be included in the work community. And that was kind of the welcoming methodology and the welcoming way of having me being part of the community is something that I really cherish and took from that learning, because that's I think something that everybody deserves and should have as a possibility. When you don't know really how the system works and where you should contact when you start to find a daycare place for your kid, or whom to call when somebody has scratched your car and then you need to contact the insurance company. How does it work? Where do I have it fixed, and all that. So I think everybody kind of deserves the welcome and sort of smoothing the path in the beginning. You can't do my community couldn't really do the language learning for me, but they could offer me the possibility and smoothen the path for me to get started.
Definitely. I definitely agree that everyone should have that if they go to a new country or a new experience. Well, that was really awesome. And we are now sadly coming to the end of the episode, but I do have 3 final questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, imagine it's 2035, so in 10 years' time. What does your life look
So this is the dreams part of the podcast. Well, life looks a bit different at that time. Kids have flown out of the nest,
like?
but I'm really looking forward to the life of really fulfilling career, seeing my kids grow and fly on their own,
Yeah.
and having the possibility to yet discover new things to learn, new things to grow and explore. So I would still
all
love
we can
to,
really hope for.
exploring, I would say.
Awesome. And then second question, how can listeners follow along with your journey?
To follow along and go with curiosity, I would say just make it as a habit, as a micro habit of making the yes and comment. So when somebody is giving you a great or presenting a great idea, try to deliberately avoid the yes but comment, because that kind of kills the curiosity and does not really encourage innovation.
Definitely.
But when you walk into the situation, make a decision that this is going to be yes and moment. So how can we together build on something more? That's the way for me it has been throughout my career when working with people who've been developing technological solutions, is to have the yes and comments and help them to build even further.
Yeah, I love that. And then the last question is, how can listeners be useful to you? So what can they do to help you?
I would really love to just connect and talk and learn with anyone,
Yeah.
particularly in the area of sustainability. That's really something that drives me at the moment, whether that will be in business or in public services or transforming our society into sustainable way of living. That's something that I really like to collaborate about.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I am really looking forward to following along with your journey, but thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. To make sure you don't miss next week's episode, follow us on your favorite podcasting app. Do consider leaving us a review, as it helps the podcast tremendously.